Hey, welcome everybody to the Mum-Freedom-Preneurs Hangout. We are live, and today we have a very special topic. And Elizabeth, this is Elizabeth's idea. It was brilliant. It is hypersexualization of our children in the media and how we can help our kids to really see their true value and actually be a positive influence with their friends rather than being influenced by the media. So I am, and for those of you, I'll do quick introductions of me. I'll run across the board. We'll do quick introductions of everybody, and then we're going to jump right into it. I am a single mom of twin 5-year-old boys, and in case you see this, I've had a little injury about a week ago, so I've got a little, what do you call it,
brace.
Brace, yes, for and so this, those of you I've been kind of like out of the picture for a little bit in the last week. I have been healing, but I am here and I am back. I was actually on live. Elizabeth was with me physically when we did this last week, but it had just happened. So this is me on my own doing it. So I do what we do so that I can be home with my kids, so I can really have a very powerful, positive influence in their lives, and so that I'm the one raising them, not the media, not nannies, never mind. Yeah, I say nannies because I used to be an entertainment attorney, and for me, it would have been never mind daycare. I'd be lucky if I was able to even tuck them in, much less be able to monitor anything that goes on in the media or anything else that goes on in their lives. I'd be lucky to tuck them in at night. So that's why I do, and to be able to be here and really speak life into people, help inspire people of what's possible in so many areas. So I'm going to pass it on now over. I'm going from my left to right here. So for me, that is, I'm going to come down to Vashon. Wonderful Sean Borich.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Vashon Borich, and I am also called the Tough Mama, and I am from the Team Tough, which stands for Tough, Unstoppable, Fearless, and Free. And basically, I am a single mom of 2 boys, age 9 and age 6. They're both at school right now, so it's nice and quiet here. And I am also a martial artist, and I'm part of this wonderful business that Valerie and the rest of these lovely ladies are in as well. And it's so good to see you back up and at 'em there, Valerie. I'm glad you're healing nicely.
Thank you.
Do you want me to do more than introductions, or are we just introducing ourselves right now?
We're just introducing, and then we're going to go into the topics. Just give everybody a chance at the beginning to just introduce, and then we'll hop into the topic, because then everybody's got a lot of powerful thoughts and things to give on this. I'm actually, for good reason, I'm actually going over to Fizza. I'm going to go over to Elizabeth, because Elizabeth, I want you to launch into this, because
okay.
Yeah, if that's cool. So I'm going to introduce you next, Fizza. Come on up, Fizza. Are you there? Oh, I'm not sure if she's there. We see the image. Don't know if she has.
I think she's got us on hold right now.
Oh, she's got us on hold. Okay, well, when Fizza comes back, when she, she'll introduce herself briefly. So I'm gonna pull up Elizabeth, and hang on one second. Here we go. Elizabeth, there you are.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Bowries. I'm the mom of the Revitalized family, and I'm a single stay-at-home, work-at-home mom with 4 special needs children. Most of those are girls. My son's 23, and we range all the way down to the age 10. I guess I'm the one that started up this whole topic of conversation this morning, so I'll be the one to preface it. Having a majority of girls in my house, it sometimes gets very difficult with a lot of the different messages that are sent out on social media, be it on ads, on buses that go by, be it on makeup. They're all getting into the ages where they want to apply the makeup and they want to look like the models in the makeup ads. And then you have the TV shows that deal with teenagers and what they're doing in their lives. And everybody wants to fit in. And it's such a big, difficult, I don't know, it's a miasma of growing up. And every one of us have gone through all of this at different stages. But as time has changed and people's perceptions of things that are normal in everyday life has changed. We're no longer just a sedentary nuclear family. We have step families. We have single parent families. We have all these different things, and everybody's working really hard to promote and do for their children. And sometimes when that stuff happens, we're not always right on top of what the kids are watching at all times. But we can try to be as informed and as involved as we possibly can. I want to switch to Fisa real quick.
She just hopped in, all right.
Only because she just got here. Let her introduce herself, and then I'll go a little bit more in. So, yeah. Fisa, we're going to wait. You got to introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself, and then we're ending.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you now, yes.
Okay. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Valerie. Hello, Vishon. How are you?
Hey, sweetie.
I am Fiza Kashif Khan, and I am from Burke, New South Wales, Australia, and it's around 1:10 a.m. here. Yeah. But I'm like, oh my God, I took a nap in the afternoon because I know it's very hard for me now because it's winter here, and it's very hard to sleep wake up so late and till late night. So yes, I just went to wash my face because I was feeling so sleepy. And I am mama of 9-year-old daughter, and I am a handbag designer too. And day before yesterday, we had a show in our town, and I participated in that, and I got second and third prize on my bags, and I am super excited because I just participated in that, and I was not expecting that I won the prize. And I went only for 30 minutes because my daughter also participated in painting. So, but I spent around 2.5 hours there, and we had a very excited, enjoyable time together. And yes, so the topic that you have selected is very good. That's why I just want to share my ideas and my experiences too.
Great, thank you. I'm so excited that you're here. So we're gonna pass it back, and I mean, it's amazing. 1:30 in the morning. I mean, it's a little after 8 in the morning for me, and it's like I think about 11 for Elizabeth. What is it? About 10 for you, Vishon? Something like that. Yeah, 10 in the morning. Yeah. So kudos for being up at 1:30 in the morning. And just a shout out Sarita and Gabrielle and so many of our other ladies out there that are with us in spirit today. Could not come on with us, but just wanted to shout out to you. Love you all. So I am going to pass it back over to Elizabeth.
Okay. I'm going to start, I guess, with the easiest one of the situations that we've been dealing with in regards to this kind of stuff. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and 2 years ago she came home all upset. She was just very upset because she was being bullied at school about the way that she was dressed. Now, my children dress age appropriately. They've got the cute little sweaters, the cute little jumpers, all this stuff, but because she was popular in her group, there was another little girl who her clothes are what's in the fashion mainstream. And, you know, the little short shirts and tiny little skirts, and they accentuate their little figures. But there's a way to incorporate this kind of stuff without making it overly sexualized for the kids. But what she was doing was she was trying to bully my daughter into dressing exactly like her so that she would be accepted into the same group. If my daughter followed suit, then the other kids would follow suit. And we got into this whole debate over what a fashionista was, now see, I lost the word. But, you know, it's just the way that all these social media people dress is very alluring. It's very attractive, and people want to be like that. They want to be liked. And it doesn't necessarily make it that you're more likable. It's just that it's a visualization of what you perceive to be liked. So we had to have this whole long conversation about whether or not she respected herself, what things she liked about herself that made her feel good. Now, the way this other person was behaving, did they behave that way because of how they were dressing, how they thought other people would perceive them? My whole thing is, you need to be kind, not only to yourself, but the other people. You need to know that you're a strong person and that you're there for the other people. It doesn't matter what kind of clothing you're wearing. It doesn't matter what style makeup, how you do your hair, any of that. The thing was that she was so worried about being left out because this other little girl was doing all the things that she thought would make her popular. And that's a terrible word, because popularity is not exactly what people think it is. You know, people want to be popular. They want to be in that go-to group where everything is what you see on TV. And that's not what popular is. It's an ideology of having what everybody else wants. But the truly popular people are the ones that care about the others. They're the ones that turn around and stand up for someone who's being bullied. They're the ones that turn around and make other people feel better about themselves. And what we've done and what we've worked with her is to build her self-esteem up enough that, okay, you can have the short little sweater, but you're going to wear a nice long shirt underneath it. And you can have the skirt, but we'll have the leggings. And you don't have to have the high heels and no makeup. And you don't have to fit the stereotypical norm that you see on TV. You are your own person. And you're the person that everybody cares about because you care about them. You show them how you care about yourself. You show them how you care about other people, and you set a good example, and that's what makes you popular, not what you have, what other people think is the price point. You know, it's just about being the loving, giving person that you are. And a lot of times these kids want to get one up on each other because they see the things on TV, and I've got a secret, and you've got a secret. In my house, we don't have secrets, period. Secrets do not exist. If someone's asking you to keep a secret, it's because they're going to do something that's going to hurt somebody else. Surprises are allowed because eventually, at some point, everybody's going to know what the surprise is. It's generally a helpful, happy thing. But if someone says secret in my family with my children, it's a warning sign. Immediately, my children will come to me and tell me exactly what is going on because they don't want to see somebody get hurt. And I realize it sounds like I'm looping around, but it's all these things. We get the Avon catalogs here, and they've got all the girls glamorized and everything else, and oh, I like this, and oh, I like that, and I want that. Well, it's all fine and good to like and want, but do you need it? Is that what's going to make you the person that you are? Is that going to change who you are and how you treat other people? No. So if it's not something that you need, it's not a really necessary thing. You know, it's everybody's so up on selling and so up on I need this and I need that, but you don't. You want it. There's a difference between wanting and needing, and wanting to be accepted and acting in a way that you actually are accepted and you accept others is the more important lesson of all those things. And it's hard to counter that when the parents are working and out of the house. And, you know, our school district just instated uniforms this past year. A large part of that was they didn't want gang affiliations, the girls to be in the clothing that was too skimpy and too form-fitting and getting too much attention. But they turned around and they set so much focus on the girls and the way that they were dressing that all of a sudden it's people saying, well, she's dressing too much, I can't. You have your own self-control. If you have the ability to turn around and decide that you don't want to do something, you don't want to eat that food, you don't want to go to this game, you have the self-control to not belittle or beleaguer or give attention to someone that doesn't want it. Don't blame it on somebody else. As long as you control what you do, you respect yourself for how you treat other people, that's what you're going to get back. And it's about teaching these kids these ethical things, and they get that from us, from their parents. So it's not necessarily to do the whole little fashionista, mini-me, Glee TV, whatever else. You know, they all want to be popular. What child doesn't? What adult doesn't at some point want to feel like they're accepted into the group? But you don't have to buy into everything that's being sold on TV and the media to do that. Just be yourself. You know, care about who you are, show people who you are, and that you're worthy of their attention. It doesn't matter what you have. And I'm babbling, so somebody else can take over.
You're not babbling at all. You're not babbling at all. And that's so powerful. And it's like, you know, it's different for me because I don't have girls, I have boys. So, and frankly, you know, they dress themselves, and it's usually a mishmash of color and style. But it's a completely different thing. And frankly, I'm seriously considering homeschooling them because I don't want them to be, having to deal with any of that craziness. But it's really, I mean, what I keep coming back to is it's really, and what I want to do for my kids is to be able to just see their own value, because I mean, if it's for anybody, for all of us, is to see their own value, and to be the person that actually has the intention, to be a kid that has the intention that every day they're going into the world with something to give. Right, as opposed to looking for needing, like I need it to fit in, or I need this person's approval, I need this or I need that, to have a different space of having such, belief and confidence in themselves, and knowing that it's really all about what do they have to give, to know that they are needed as opposed to needing, right? To know that they are needed, part of the universe, they're needed in this world, and that they have a very special, unique gift to give, in just being who they are, and that every one of their friends, anybody that they bump into, that every day, they can have the intention to be like, I'm going to be the best friend that I can be to someone else. How can I give of myself today? It's not about getting. Right, and knowing that they're the ones giving, which is kind of what you said. It's a flip of intention. And I mean, for myself personally, it's adjusting from so many years of lying to myself, of buying into negative thoughts that I may have picked up from the media, I may have picked up from being bullied in school, when I was in elementary school, or in high school, etc., mostly elementary, and being and instead keying into what value do I have to bring. So as parents, it's like for me it starts with me, because when I am feeling like I'm needy, it's completely and utterly reflected in my kids. When I am in a space of realizing I'm needed, and I have value to give, and in each moment I ask, every moment and every day, how can I give? What can I give in this moment? To allow myself to be able to tap from wherever you want to say you're tapping it from, the ability to be able to be in, when people hear my voice, that somehow I'm encouraging, that somehow I am, something from me is expressing something that's going to be encouraging, that when I bump into someone physically, something about my presence, my smile will affect them in a positive way, that's what really matters, and when I'm like that, then I can be that influence with my kids. For me, that's what's, my take on it off the top of my head, off of what you just said, Elizabeth. And so, I mean, my hat's off to you. I'll never know what you're going through, because I don't have, well, I don't know, maybe someday I'll have girls in my life. You never know. But right now, looks like it's all boys. I'm going to pass it over to Vishon, and then back and forth, for everybody's thoughts on this, because I know, Vishon, you had said you had a really interesting take that you wanted to put onto this as well. And you have boys too.
Thank you. All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. Looks like my head's cut off, so hold on a second. There we go. All right, so yes, I do have two sons, but I really don't think that it's really a difference as far as sexes, because boys have their own issues as well. Mm-hmm. And right now, I've noticed some of that with my 9-year-old son. He's kind of small for his age. He's one of the shorter boys in his class, and I always tell him he's small but mighty. And the good news that I want to share with you is that I've really focused on instilling self-confidence in my children. Mm-hmm. And to me, if you can instill that in your child, then they can learn to say no and to back away mm-hmm. from bad influences that are there. And so I think probably that leads into the next question, and that is, how do you really instill that in your child so that they realize that, number one, they have value and their opinions matter, and taking a stand is important if it goes against your beliefs. So these are just a few things, and I like to give tips or tools every time I speak, and these are 4 things that I've done on a regular basis from the time my children could talk in order to help instill confidence. And it can backfire. I will tell you that my 9-year-old, well, both of them actually, probably have more confidence than they probably should, and I'm trying to calm them down a little bit sometimes there. But I think these are good if you have a child that just isn't confident yet. Here's some things you can do. So the first thing is to be open with your children. And by open, that means let them ask and encourage them to ask any question and answer it. I think sometimes as parents, and I've seen this with some of my own friends, where their child will ask something about sex, for example, and because of their age, their parents will kind of, you know, try to change the subject really quick and not answer the question. And, you know, depending on the situation, obviously, if we're in a group setting, I'm not going to answer a private question like that with my children. But if it's in a private environment and they have a legitimate question about sex or their bodies or something like that, I personally believe it's okay to answer those questions, answer them truthfully, and answer them in a way so that they get the information that they need. And I've always had that policy, and because of that, both of my boys are very willing to share with me whatever is going on with them. And I hope that that continues through their teenage years. Obviously, they're quite young now. And my mother was the same way with me as a young woman, and my sister. I grew up with a younger sister and myself. And sometimes it was kind of, I was shocked that she would actually answer my questions, and it became sort of a game to see which questions she would or wouldn't answer. And she always answered them, actually. So I became a little more careful as to what I asked, because sometimes I really didn't want to know the answer. But I think that that's something important. So number one is being open with your children and, you know, really being truthful as to your feelings when they ask a question. And the second thing, and this is something I've done over the past 5 years, and that is get rid of cable television. Get rid of anything that, for me, we do have a television. We have one television in our home, but it's only connected to, you know, whatever the satellite picks up from the air. So I think we have like 9 channels, and that's it. And I really am a firm believer that there's so many more things that you can do in your life and with your children than being stuck watching a box. And so we really don't watch much television, if at all. We have so many things around here that we like to do together as a family, and my kids, they go out and they play, and we have friends. They have friends in the neighborhood, and that has really, I think, helped them so that they aren't seeing as much of the sensationalism that goes on with television. Now, the same thing goes with computer, too. If your kids are of age in which they're using computers or, you know, they have video games or things like that, I always make my children, if they're going to be on the computer or they're on a video game, that they have to be in the same room with me to play it or to use the computer. Because I really want to be aware of what they're watching and what they're filtering into their little brains. And, you know, I'm not overly protective, but I do feel that there's a lot of bad things that can happen, as we all know, as internet entrepreneurs. There's a lot of things that can happen, especially like in chat rooms and whatnot. And so I make sure that the computer is in a public place, and they know that they can't use that in a private place, and that's also helped them to be more aware of what they're watching. All right, the other thing I think, and that was the second, was turn off media if you can. The third is read and share stories. You know, books are so good. In fact, it's ironic, Elizabeth, that you brought this topic up, because we currently, in my house, we're reading a book that has to do with different issues that come up in one's life. And last night's topic was on the topic of love, specifically the difference between love and sex and things like that. And I'll share the book. I don't know if you can see it here. It is a Christian-based book, but it doesn't matter what your religion is, or if you're agnostic. The stories in here can go for any religion. And the cool thing is the story that we read last night, and if you can't see the title, it's Max Lucado, Tell Me the Secrets. And it's got their chapter stories, and each story has a different topic related to growing. So like the first topic was on growth, and then there's one on forgiveness. There's one, let's see, there was one on victory, you know, how to handle competitions. And then there's one that we read last night was on love, and what was the difference between love and, you know, the sexual sensationalism that this conversation was about here today. And, you know, the thing I want to share that really stood out to me was it focused on the inner beauty of both men and women, and how if you focus on pictures in magazines or, you know, images that you see on television, you're going to have a different viewpoint on what is beautiful. And it really focused on how the inner beauty is what lasts a lifetime, because as we all know, as grown adults, as we age, we don't keep our girlish 20-something figures and face forever. Although a lot of people try, especially in Hollywood, it's not possible for the majority of us to even come close to keeping that. And so if you are in a relationship that focuses only on the outward appearances, on how you dress and how you look and how your skin is, then you're going to lose all of that as you age. And so it really focuses on the inside. And I just want to share a small tidbit from that book that I just loved it. The story talked about an emerald merchant. The emerald merchant was a very old man, and he was sharing the story in the book about how he became very good at looking at emeralds and being able to tell which emerald was a the true valuable emerald versus an imitation or creation. And the thing that I thought was really neat is the way you can tell a true emerald from a imitation is a true emerald has imperfections. If you look inside of the emerald under a magnifying glass, you'll see little bits of black specks. That comes from how they were made with volcanoes, real volcanoes. And so every true valuable emerald has imperfections. And if you want something of value, you have to appreciate those imperfections, because that's what makes it beautiful. And that just, wow, I just love that. Isn't that a cool way to look at people as well? It's those imperfections that make you beautiful. All right, so that was the third thing. So we have be open, turn off the television and have computer in a public place, read and share stories with your family so that helps them in their image and what they look for in others. And then the fourth thing that we do as a family that you might find helpful for you is I offer a daily challenge for my children on the way to school. We have sort of a long drive to school. I live in a rural environment. I live in southern Missouri, the Branson area, so it takes about 20 minutes, both 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, to take my boys to and from school. And so on the way to school, we have these discussions, and we choose a challenge of the day. And the challenge of the day has to do with something positive that they can do that helps them step out of their comfort zone in order to help others. So, for instance, today's challenge was I challenged them to sit with somebody new at lunch today that they don't know very well, that they could get to know. And then they're supposed to report back to me when I pick them up from school on who they met, what they learned about them, and what they really liked about that person. And so they agreed that they would do the challenge. And sometimes they come up with challenges on their own. Like my youngest son came up with the idea to fill somebody's bucket. And his idea was that he wanted to find somebody that he could make them smile. And this was last week. I can't remember what day, but he said he wanted to find somebody and help them smile that day. And so we come up with these different challenges, but the whole idea is for them to, instead of focusing on themselves and how they look and their clothes that they wear and things like that, to focus on others and helping other people. Because the second you turn away the focus from you out to others, then the things that come at you don't bother you as much. And it really does help to build self-confidence when you instill in your children to see how they can help others. So I hope these things have been helpful to you. They're just a few tips that I use in my family, and I'm going to hand it off now to Fizza. I believe that you're up next.
And thank you, Vashon. That's amazing. I took notes.
Thank you, Vishan, for sharing the wonderful tips, and almost more or less the same I'm doing with my daughter, because when we moved to work from Sydney, she started going to school. And when I was in Sydney, I used to do her homeschooling because I just want to gain some confidence. Then I want to send her to school. So I sent her to homeschooling group as well, just to have a social interaction with the other children. So she come to know how to deal with them and how to stay away from me for a while. So in that way, she behaved very well. That was totally unexpected. And because I always tell her teachers that please give me the honest feedback, because she's my daughter and I want her to be good human being first, then, and for me, religion is not first priority. Our children should be a good human being first, because they are the future generation. And my daughter, when we came here in Burke, this is actually a small country town, and she started going to school, and she feel little bit confused because she was not used to this sort of environment what we have in here in a school. So other children, she faced the very bad factor, that's bullying. And when I went to pick her up, and she was very quiet. She's not a quiet child. And I was so much upset because she did not say hello and hi, and she just sit in a car and just sit quietly, close her eyes. And I said, Nabira, are you okay? She did not say anything. And when I came home, I gave her lunch. She did not have her lunch too. And I was so much upset that what had happened to her. And I called my husband because he was at work. And I said, I think something happened with her. He said, did you ask? I said, she did not even tell me what happened. And believe me, I was so upset that she went to her room and she went to sleep. She never she did not take a nap. And I was so much worried that I started crying that what happened to her, why she is not telling me. And when her father came from work, and he asked her what happened, and she said, I want to go for a drive. And he took her for a drive, and he told me that you stay here and she will be okay. And you know what she said? That they said, you are not a good girl, you are very bad. And that's really so painful for her, because she never ever heard these sort of thing in her life. When she were in a homeschooling, in a homeschooling group, everybody appreciates her a lot because she was the most well-behaved child in her group. That was a great compliment for me that my daughter got that compliment. But when on first day of her school, children were saying, oh, you are so skinny, oh, you are not good girl, look at your face, look at your hands. And she got so upset that she was not ready to go to school. I said, Nabira, nobody is perfect, okay? Be good. Whatever they are telling you, just let them say. Be yourself. You are perfect. You are good. You are a good human being. And you already got so much compliment when you were in Sydney. So don't listen to them. And my husband, we both sit with her, and we tell her so many stories. I got a very good book for her. I brought it from the library, and I just integrate her with bullying factor, and then in that way she understand that no, this is how I take it. I'm not bad. I'm a good girl. I am a very well obedient daughter of my parents, so that is enough for me. No matter what other people are saying, that's their opinion. And then next day I went to her school and I talked to teacher, and thank God she helped in fixing all her problem, and now she's the most popular student of her school. and everybody helps her. She is ready to help everyone, and everybody wants to sit with her in a class, or everybody wants to play with her in a playground, and she's actively participated in everything. And last year, when she was in year 3, she took all the certificates of the school within 6 months' time, and she broke the record of her school. So why I'm telling you all this thing, because my daughter, not only my daughter, if we give attention to our kids, if we listen to them, if we give them importance, that whatever has happened with them, okay, we are always there for them. No matter you are a mom, no matter a parent, no matter whoever you are, but be there for your kids. Because we are the one who give them confidence. We are the one who give them courage. We are the one who they know that if we do something, my mom or my father or my parents are there, always there for me. And I also told her that, because one day she was just did something wrong, and I can easily trace out from her face, because she's just like me. I can't lie. I cannot hide my feeling. Everything come on my face, whether I'm happy, whether I'm angry, everything come on my face. And my husband easily catch me like this. If I did not even look in his eyes while talking to him, he said, you did something wrong. What's that? Tell me. And I was like, oh my God, he caught me red-handed. Same as with my daughter, same as with my husband. We 3 are almost the same. And we never ever hide anything from each other. Everything is open. There is no secret between 3 of us. There is nothing. We are like this bonding. And I believe that we should all have to have this sort of a bonding with our kids, with our families. And one day she did something wrong, and Mom, I want to tell you something. Mom, I want to tell you something. I said, come on, tell me. She said, but promise me that you will not say anything. I said, okay, promise. And then she said, oh, I just take out $5 from your wallet and I went to school. I did not inform you. I said, okay, but you did not tell me that you took out $5. But the angels or the security guards that God has just appointed it for you, the right angel and left angel, they know that what you did. They know what is there, what you did, and whether mom or dad knows what you did or not. But your security guards always be with you. Just keep this in mind. Don't try to hide anything. Whether you are with your friends, whether you are anywhere, you remember always that one person, that is God, is always with you. He is watching you no matter what. And then from that day she promised me that she's not going to hide anything. She is not going to do anything without my permission or with her father's permission. And as far as computer concerned, yes, she got an iPad, but she is not allowed to take her in her room. And when I'm sitting in a TV room, she's sitting beside me, and we play together different games on iPad and on laptop, and mostly we play educational games just to increase her knowledge, just to increase her vocabulary, and we all got a competition. Okay, now come on, let's do the competition in reading. Who will do the reading best? And me and my husband tried to just make so many mistakes so she will be happy and she will improve herself. And she said, oh, Mom, you did right. I said, okay, now can you read it for me? Because we want her to improve her reading skills, improve her vocabulary. So in that way, she is developing a confidence. And I was watching one program on TV, and that was related to how to deal with strangers. So while watching that program, I was asking different questions with her. That, okay, if somebody touch you, what you do?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a very, I was so happy. The way she answered me, I was like, oh my goodness, look, she observes me and my husband, and what we are telling her, she is just keep that in her mind. And she said, Mom, I will start shouting. I don't allow anyone to touch me except you and Dad. It's not good that any stranger touch me. I was like, that's good. You are a good girl. You know how to behave, what to do. And I said, if anyone touch you in a school, then what you do? I straight away go to my teacher or my principal and I will tell them that that person touched me. I said, very good, good girl. And that's really made me so much satisfied that she knows what to do if somebody touch her.
Well,
and
I'm sorry.
This is very important. This is very important to just make them aware how to deal with in different situations. And Elizabeth, the way you share your story, I agree with you that it's very important. And Valerie and Vishon, you both have boys, but I have a daughter and Elizabeth has a daughter. But more or less, it doesn't matter whether you have a daughter or whether you have sons. I think both have the same problems, but to different level, that's little bit different, but they have same problems.
I think that when it comes down to it, the issues with the girls are advertised more often. I mean, these boys face the same kind of things, but because they're boys, most people don't acknowledge that they have those same problems. I mean, I have the 14-year-old. My stepdaughter is in her 30s, and I've got an adopted daughter that's 29, and I have my son that's 23 and a 21-year-old. And the 14-year-old is just getting into the point in school where at lunch, what they talk about all the time is sex. Whether I like it or not, it's going to be the conversation, and I know that. And I've always been very, very blunt with my kids. This is the birds and the bees. This is what happens here. This is what happens here. But even though we are, like Vishon, we don't have TV in our house. You know, if my kids watch anything, it's on the computer, or Kendall watches tons of stuff on her phone, which drives me absolutely nuts. But, you know, I turn around in any situation that comes up, I expect them to turn around and talk to me about it. You know, I used to do the peer education when I was in high school. We did the drug stuff, we did the sex stuff, and they start sex education in 4th grade here. You know, because they're worried about the girls getting their periods and cycling, and they want them to know what's going on, because many people don't even explain that to their daughters, and they're terrified when it happens. So this is why they started at that point. But as soon as they start that conversation, the kids turn around and start making their own conversations, whether they know what they're talking about or not. So it's very, very important for the parents to be keeping up on top of that and explaining how things go with their bodies. They're learning about their bodies. This is how your body cycles for this. This is how your body cycles for that. Getting the information, keep up to date on what the curriculum is in the school. They're discussing STDs. They're discussing birth control. They're discussing all this stuff so that you're right on top of it, because they're getting the generic information. They're getting the stuff that is the medical information. They don't know how it's going to affect them. They don't deal with the emotional aspect of the fallout of what if they do get involved with someone like that. If you can tell them the things that you've gone through yourself as a parent, well, I went through this and I went through this, and you don't understand that your hormones are constantly changing. And just because you have this belief doesn't mean that if you're in that situation, something's not going to change. You know, you don't always have control over everything hormonally. But if you're honest with them, and you can explain respect for themselves, and they need to have respect for whoever they're dating or friends with or anything like that, they're less likely to just jump from step 1 to jump step 4. They think things out. And when they have questions, instead of going to their friends who are getting their information from TV and movies, they're going to come to you. They turn around. I can't tell you how the conversations I've had about AIDS with my children, the conversations we've had about STDs, the conversations about why some kids get sexually active while other kids don't. You know, you don't have to be sexually active to be accepted by your peers. All you need to do is know that you're a good person, have a good ear, be willing to listen and be there for your friends, and they'll accept you just as you are. They're not going to push you into it. Sometimes they try to see just how far they can go and what you're willing to go. But if you're strong enough, they'll back down and realize they don't have to do it either. Yeah. And, I mean, I've been so open and honest with my kids about every single aspect of all of this. My son had already graduated from high school, and he went to his father's house, and he went to a party with his older brother. And he comes home, and he's scared to death. Mom, I have to talk to you. Mom, I have to talk to you. Mom, I have to talk to you. Okay, you know, what's going on? I need an AIDS test. And I'm like, why do you need an AIDS test? And here he is. He got so flustered. He's at this party, and this girl cuddled up to him, and he just blacked out. And because he realized that, you know, they got into a little bit of heavy petting or whatever and kissing, he thought that he needed the AIDS test because, you know, saliva swished and all this other stuff. So we ended up having a 2-hour conversation about what different aspects of heavy petting are. And he didn't need the AIDS test, but he felt comfortable enough to come to me. That's a huge part of them growing up in the society that we're in, is if you're honest enough with them and you give them enough information that they can make decisions. Hormones are hormones. You can't control them 100% of the time. Things happen. But if you know that you have that close of a bond with your children and they trust you enough to come to you first, they're less likely to have any of those problems. You know, if something does happen and heaven forbid I end up with the possibility of being a grandmother, you know, I turn around and tell them, you know, I don't want you going to your friends and talking about this. I don't want you just making a decision without the information. You come to me, we'll get you all the information from every single side, and you will make your decisions together. You don't push one person into doing something, the other person doesn't push them into doing something. You turn around and you make the decisions together. You make educated to do it because someone's pushing you. It's all about having enough wherewithal, enough trust in yourself and the people closest to you to know that they're going to be there for you. Knowing that they're there for you means you're less likely to get into those situations. And you would not believe the kids that come to me through my children because they're afraid to talk to their parents. Their parents go to their jobs and they come home and they don't want to talk to them because they're so tired. And then something happens along the way. It's either the school's fault or it's TV's fault or any of that. But if they just take a couple minutes every day to talk to their kids about their days, about the things that they're discussing with their friends, they're less likely to jump into situations that will put them in a precarious place. And it's all about bonding with your kids from the time they're 3 years old and figure out that, oh my God, a boy has an extra piece that a girl doesn't have, but oh my goodness, they do the same things. You know, it's just a matter of explaining it. That's all there is to it. It's different. Yeah, okay, but this is why it's different. And without them having to wonder on their own, they're not going to sit there and try to experiment as much as people would think. It happens, but the more information they have, the more comfortable they are in their own skin and who they are, the less likely they are to go into situations unprepared without any knowledge that can put them and their friends at risk. And I think that's the most important thing out of all of it, is to turn around and foster that kind of a relationship with your children. My kids give me TMI way too much. But the fact of the matter is, and I'll make faces when they do it, but, you know, the fact of the matter is they trust me enough to do it. And I may not like everything that I hear, and I tell them that I may not like everything that I hear. But the fact of the matter is, they're telling me, they trust me. And because they trust me, I am more than willing to give them whatever opinions, whatever information I can give them. And if I can't, I find it out for them, and I help them get the real information, not just he said, she said, because they saw it on a movie or a TV program. And that's the biggest point of it all. The way you combat all these different things in the media, the way the kids are turning on the game, the TV shows, is to talk to them. If you have that relationship, they're not going to go anywhere else for their answers. And that's the best thing that we can do for our kids. That's part of the reason that we're working at home. You know, we're here so that we can be that person for our children, so that they know that they don't have to go turning to somebody else because they're afraid. If they're afraid, they can come to us because we'll be there to help them work through it. And that's why I thought this was a really important topic.
Yeah.
I just want to share one thing here. What I believe and what I feel, like Vishon has 9 years old and I have 9 years old, and they are in a growing age. So the most confusing thing that come in their mind is love.
Yeah.
Because in their surrounding, in their schools, most of the kids talk about, because most of the parents don't even bother what their children are watching on TVs, and they just turn on the TV and they went to the parties or wherever they want to, even to their rooms, and children are watching TV or whatever channel they have. But in I have some rules, like we have a TV, but we only watch cartoons with her. And when she went to bed, if my husband is not doing anything and he's free, mostly we went to bed around 9:30. But on weekends, me and my husband sit together and watch movies that's coming on TV. Otherwise, I don't watch TV much because I only watch cartoons with my daughter. But one day when she came back from school and she says, "Mom, what is sex?" And I was like, what is this? What she's asking? And I asked her, who told you this word? Where did you listen this one? And then she told me that, can you imagine 9 years old, little girl, she was talking about that in a class. And when teacher come to know, and she said that I watched one movie last night. She said, why you wake up so late? Why you were not in bed around 10 or 11 o'clock? And she said, no, I did not feel like to sleep, and I just turned on the TV. And where were your parents? Parents were sleeping in their room. They did not even know what she was watching. So this is the duty of being parents. This is our duty to keep an eye on our kids, what they are watching, and we need to have set some rules that after this time you are not supposed to turn on the TV if you have a TV. And I don't believe that children should have TV in their room or they have their laptops in their room. No. Whatever you want to watch on the laptop or on iPad, you must have to sit in front of us and watch with us. So we know what they are watching. We know if they are playing a game, whether they are their age appropriate or not. Because there are so many games I came across on online that have very, very bad graphics, very, very bad. They use the swearing so much. They use the slang language. So I don't allow my daughter to download that one. And then I talked to her about, first I talked to her about love. And she said, Mom, that girl was talking about love. I said, okay, love, it means you love your mom, you love your dad. You love nature, you love your teacher. So this is love. Love is not like you love only a boyfriend or you have a love with your boyfriend, that's it. No, this is not love. You love your auntie, you love everyone around you. So this is love. And then when it comes to sex, I was like, what to tell her? I said, okay, we will talk later about that. And then she forget. I'm sure she forgot that. Because it's too early to talk to her about on this topic. Because that brings so many other questions in her mind. But I'm sure, and I want to discuss that with her, but I'm waiting for the appropriate time. I think it's too early. Maybe by the end of December, I will discuss with her in integrating in some stories or something like that. But I have to answer her. I don't want her to go to my neighbor or to other people to ask about that.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off a little bit here, but the reason I'm doing it is when Kendall was in 4th grade, when they first started talking about periods and all of that, she was taking the bus back and forth to school. And I very soon thereafter had to take her off the bus because we found out that the kids in the back of the bus, because they go in grade order, it's kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way on up to fifth grade. But the kids in the back of the bus were talking about oral sex. They were talking about trying it. And the bus driver can't see it back there. This is 8, 9, 10 years old. And as soon as I found out that that was being discussed, I pulled my girls off the bus. I started driving them back and forth, and we had to discuss what that actually was, because these kids are talking about it. So if they're talking about it, she doesn't understand what they're saying and whether it's right or not. So this had to be broached. And a lot of times these people are like, you talk too much in front of your kids. You say too much. If I don't, they're going to get their information from their friends.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that they're talking about, so we have to broach it at that time, because otherwise they're going to get involved in situations that they can't control.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to talk about it. I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I hate to say this, but the fact that she's already raised it means that the kids around her are already talking about it.
Yeah.
My suggestion, if she's already asked you what it is, if you don't approach it now and don't wait till December, chances are she's going to get all kinds of misinformation from the very source that's having her ask this question, that's causing her to ask the question in the first place. You've crossed the line. It's already crossed the line. It's sort of like it's already in her environment, and if you wait till December, she's going to have all kinds of stuff between now and December that she's going to be hearing from them as opposed to hearing it right away from you, and being able to then, have a sense of strength in terms of what's around her. I doubt she's forgotten it. I really doubt it. Really, really doubt it.
Scariest conversations parents can have with their kids. It really, really is, because you don't want them to grow up. You don't want them to be put into a situation where they have no control or they can be hurt. But if we hit that conversation before their friends can hit them with all this misinformation, because they're all just guessing. They're at an age where they don't know, but somebody said this, and somebody said this, and, well, how about we try that? If you grab them and get their attention as soon as that happens, it's much easier. Now, Elena is 10 years old now, and she's on the bus. I happen to be friends with the bus driver that's on her bus, so that helps a lot too. But the fact of the matter is, they've known from the get-go what each of these things are before their friends bring them up. And I guess part of that was my mom was a nurse, so we went through it early also. But they do talk about it, and if we don't hit those topics with them, if we put them off, they're going to get their information somewhere else, and it may not be accurate information. It could endanger them or their friends. So that's why it's so important to be so right on top of it. And it's scary. It's the scariest thing ever. And you know what? It keeps them safe that we get involved like that.
Now, when not December, when I will go to pick her up tomorrow, I will definitely discuss her. Because you're right. You are right, Valerie. And I did not even think on those lines. But yes, when I will go to pick her up from school, not in the morning, when I went to pick her, then I definitely discuss with that. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, Valerie.
Yeah, and Elizabeth and Vishon, all of them.
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Vishon. Thank you, Valerie.
I'm sorry to have to throw it out there, but it's true. As soon as they bring it up, we have to
don't be sorry, please. Don't be sorry, because your daughter is 10 years old and you are sharing your experience. And thank you for giving me guidance on so many lines, because it's very, very hard. I really salute my mom that how she raised her up. Oh my God, Mom, salute you.
I mean, if I could give one more example, and I don't mean it to be a harsh thing or something, my daughter hangs out with a bunch of boys at lunch, and she has this one particular friend that she's very, very close to, and everybody assumed that they were a couple. And, kids turn around, they say things, and the boys were joking around with him. Oh, we know you're involved with her. Oh, we know you must be sleeping with her, this, that, and that. And he's like, no, we're not involved. We're not doing that. Well, he wanted her to know that these questions were being raised, and it just ended up that the one guy liked her, and boys talk, and they blow things out of proportion. They got to sound like they know what they're talking about. And when he brought it up to her, she felt that it had put a target on her back, that these boys were talking about her and making her seem like she was easy to get into bed or something. And she got very, very, very upset. And, I'm very involved with my kids, so I can get a hold of their parents relatively easily. So I called him up and I talked to him and I explained to him how it was that she felt, because she came home crying, absolutely upset and terrified. She didn't want that thing on her back. And, when he realized how his statement, he thought that they were just trying to see, whether or not they were dating, because the one guy was interested in her, and didn't understand that the way it came across, it sounded like something else entirely. And we ended up spending like 3 or 4 hours, believe it or not, between the conversation to his mom, and then we as a group got the kids together and we talked to the kids as a group, saying, I understand there's an interest, that you might like each other, but you have to watch the way you phrase things, because it can put a mark on somebody, whether or not they're doing. And reputation and gossip run rampant. They really, really do, especially in high school. It doesn't get much better as you're an adult either, but, high school is the worst of it. And we turned around and we hit it in a 4-hour slot, and we nipped the whole thing in the bud. But they didn't realize that what they were saying was something that could ruin her reputation and end up hurting her in the eyes of everybody else in the school. So, if the kids trust you enough and you can find out this stuff as it happens, you can safeguard them, because if that had blown out of proportion, who's to say that she wouldn't have been so depressed that she would have tried to harm herself, and I wouldn't have known because she wouldn't have trusted me. But it's just that kind of a relationship, and the kids knowing that they can come to you, that can stop so many things from happening. The bullying, the misunderstanding of what's being said back and forth, depression, suicidal ideation, all of that, just because we foster a good relationship with our kids.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important.
That's so powerful. We're up like it's been
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. No, Elizabeth, it's great. We're at the top of the hour here, and I'm just, I have such great appreciation for great appreciation for you in this topic and everything, and I want to also say, Vashon, I love what you said. The daily challenge that you give to your kids is just so, the 4 tips of it, what really stuck with me was that daily challenge. I think that's so powerful, having them focus on what can they give in that day, how can they, be there, in a positive way with others, and just the whole thing, all of it, very, very, so powerful. It's interesting. I'll be honest. At the beginning of this, I was like, I've been so off of the news. I haven't watched the news in such a long time that I actually messaged Elizabeth, like, what does the word hyper? I could have Googled it, but I was like, what is
a panic attack?
I was like, what is hypersexualization? Honestly, I'm like out of it, right? Because I've been so disconnected from the whole thing, and bringing it back down to home. This whole thing of, whether it's that or anything, just really, in how our kids are in the world, of just being there for them, and everything that you were saying, Elizabeth, and you were saying, Vashon, everything you were saying, Fiz, is just so powerful and so important. So, any last quick comments, and then I want to close out, because it's actually past the top of there, but we started a little bit late for folks. I'll pass it over. Anybody quickly, one sentence, one quick thing that you would want to.
I just want to tell parents and just teach children, treat everyone as you want to be treated.
Definitely.
Powerful. Very powerful.
This is a very powerful message, and that I learned when I was in year 4, and I read it in Reader Digest, that treat everyone as you want to be treated. And I asked my father, because I was very much attached with my father, and then he explained me that if you want people to love you, first love people, then they love you. So treat everyone as you want to be treated. Once your child learns that thing, then his life will totally be different, totally be changed.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. I'm going across to Elizabeth.
Oh, I totally agree with Visa, because, you want to treat those kids in the same manner that you want them to treat you. If you show them that respect and they see that you're valuing them on the same exact level that you would expect to be valued, they're going to trust you implicitly. They're not going to turn around and question it because they know you're being truthful. So you have to treat them the way you want to be treated, because if you don't, why do you deserve it? You don't deserve it if you can't treat them that way, because you want that respect, they deserve that respect, and by giving that, it builds a bond of trust that just nobody else will be able to separate. And it's so important.
I love it on both sides, for the kids to treat others the way they want to be treated, and for us and how we treat our kids. And Vishon, over to you. Oh, unmute. There you go.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now. Yeah. You know, the important thing is I think you all have summarized so well. It's really, you know, being open, being there for your children, and, you know, listening to them. And when they bring up something, when they bring up questions, be willing to answer them. When things happen that you don't necessarily approve of, that's a teaching moment. That's a moment that you can say, look, I know that people talk about these things. I know that this is something that maybe affected you at school or, you know, wherever they were. Let me share with you my thoughts on it, because they do listen, even if they're teenagers, because I have some very young siblings that actually are teenagers. They do listen to you even when they aren't looking at you and pretending like they aren't. Because I've seen later on, it'll come out in their personality that they did listen to something I said or that my mother or my father said. So keep that in mind. Hold your guns. Be the good example that you would like your own children to be. And with that, I will end it up here. Go ahead, Val. Back to you.
Wonderful, and thank you, everybody. For those of you, if you're not already connected with us, down below is a button where you can get connected with whoever brought you to this hangout. And love you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We will see you next week with another amazing topic. And what everybody else said, ditto. Be the change you want to be. You want to see in the world. That's coming up on me now. Be the change you want to see in the world. Love you all.